We're back. It's GrokTALK, brought to you by GrokTALK.com and the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. Watch the waving thumbs on the live stream as we adjust the audio. Please take some time to visit cnht.org and GrokTALK.com. There's donate buttons everywhere. Click one and help support your local grassroots activists. We'd like to welcome you back. We are now moving forward after our first segment where we talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and you'll just have to wait for the podcast if you missed it. But we'd like to bring in our next guest, Kimberly Morin, who is a policy researcher, conservative commenter, and political activist from the Seacoast. She has all kinds of things going on. We have the Political Buzz segment on Gerard at Large. We have a similar segment on Speak Up with Kevin Avard. And gosh, you do all kinds of stuff. You're the Manchester Political Buzz Examiner, Informed Women's Network. Very, very connected to the goings on in the political stream of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome you. And I gotta turn this down to the entire. Let's do it. Okay, I gotta figure out which headset. You're on his. Okay, there we go. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
So you posted something yesterday afternoon. I think we should start with. It had to do with a UNH poll.
Yeah.
That came out. Tell our listeners about this poll and your concerns.
Well, this poll, believe it or not, I was alerted to it by Daily Kos.
Oh, you're confessing to that, eh?
It was on Twitter. In the New Hampshire, somebody posted it in the New Hampshire Twitter feed, and they disagreed with it, and apparently they have issues with UNH polls often.
We do. Yeah.
But, so I wanted to look at it, of course, because that's
what you do. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Well, so I went and looked at it because I had written about the last poll that they took. And the numbers between this one, I didn't even look at the whole thing. I just looked at the Shea Porter numbers. They have her approval at 45%. And it was 39% last time. So I'm a numbers geek. So I put all the things, the numbers comparing in a spreadsheet and looked at the changes and the shifts. And holy cow. I'm looking here. Her approval dropped with Democrats by 9%, but it jumped with Republicans by 17%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that number, I'm like, yeah, no.
No. 17% with Republicans. 17% with Jim Roush and Bob O'Dell, maybe.
Yeah, and Stiles.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then some of the other numbers were weird. I can't even say, sorry. Some of the districts, like North, they split it out by like North Country, Central Lakes, and when you compare the favorability in the North Country, it dropped for her by 23%, but in another district it rose by that much. So the numbers are just cracked. There's definitely something wrong. Either someone screwed up.
So if you like your Shea Porter, you can keep your Shea Porter? That kind of thing? Yeah, that's crazy. Well, we're not a big fan of university professors and experts who put out these polls because, as a rule, they usually have a specific purpose, and reality isn't one of them.
Well, you got to look at those New England college polls
Those
instead.
are the best ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that one. Oh, don't get me started on that one.
That's a poll. That's an answer looking for some results to compare it to.
Well, that's the first thing I do when I see these polls. I look at the question first, and New England college push polls every time. And then the other thing I look at is who they surveyed. The number of people, if it's an accurate type of or realistic picture. And typically UNH does poll a decent amount of people comparatively throughout New Hampshire. Republicans, Independents, and Democrats.
Like 800, or it's not just like a
This
neighborhood.
one was under 300.
Under 300.
And they polled 11 under 300. So they polled 11 more Democrats than normal, and they polled 47 less Independents and Republicans. So that's probably why this is weighted.
You know why the Republicans that they're probably people who were Democrats that registered Republicans so they could screw up our primary.
Well, I think that any party worth its salt would be kicking these people out. The problem is that our party is not worth its salt.
That's why there's us.
That's why there's us.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've had a pretty busy week. There's some good things going on. What do you think about the whole JP Bob O'Dell thing?
Yes!
I actually wrote in parentheses, happy dance.
I did. That's what I was doing. And when I found out, I was like clapping my hands. You know?
I mean, A, JP says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to run. I'm going to run against Bob. B, next day, Bob says, I'm going to retire. It's like, we have about a dozen more of those. Please, primary
Please
somebody.
do it now. Yeah. Well, that's another thing I found out. I saw on Twitter. See, Twitter. I get the news quicker on Twitter than I do on anywhere else.
It is very useful for that.
I saw that, and of course I ran and posted it everywhere too. And that's happy dance on that one too.
Happy dance. Okay, and then what else we got this week? What have you been looking at this week? Let's talk about what you're paying attention to.
Huh. Did you hear what Rep Vale did?
Yes. I added it. You guys can't hear me on the screen, but I added it to my Progressives: The Proper Role of Government.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh, didn't I?
Thank you very much.
I forwarded
Yes.
that to you. That's right. Okay, I know what you mean. So please tell. Do tell.
So, clearly a crazy left-winger in Nashua posted on her official Facebook page that, talking about how the Free Staters are bad, whatever, and she said freedom is maxed out in New Hampshire. But any normal thinking person would think she's insane.
I was just saying this morning when I was drinking my coffee to my wife, I have way too much freedom.
Yeah, my freedom is maxed out. I can't get any more.
I got people telling me that I'm 50 and I need maternity care and breast cancer exams, and I don't need them, but I have to pay for them.
And when you have to put your headlights on, and if you can use a cell phone or not.
Right, and that's just a tiny little sliver of that iceberg. We have way too much freedom. Way too much. I know they think we do.
Yeah, exactly. So she said that, and then she had said it like a couple days before, and then I noticed it. And so, you can see when people comment. So I commented, called her a nanny stater. Like, you're a nanny stater, you oppose free staters, you want increased spending, increased taxes, and less freedom. And she said, she had said in her post, you can look at my record. So I did. Somebody, a little birdie, helped me out and gave me a list of all her bad votes. Increased spending, increased laws, take away our freedom.
She has it posted at ManchesterExaminer.com. It's a very impressive list. It's neatly organized. It's like the who's who of progressive moonbat voting. It really is. I mean, if you had...
And this was a progressive moonbat, or was it one of our rhinos?
No,
it's a progressive moonbat.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a gap between them.
Sometimes. Depends. Sorry. Okay. So I posted that, and then the next day, she deleted her Facebook page. And she locked her tweets on Twitter.
Oh, see, we love this because we've been doing this to the vote fraud people. When they take their LinkedIn page down, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
So yes, your goal is to solve... This is what they do. And see, they try to intimidate our speech. They try to take it away from us. SB 120 is an example coming from the Republican side that feeds into a Democrat obsession. But, everything they do is about making us shut up so that they don't have to deal with us. And then they're perfectly honest about what they believe, and then you challenge them, and they run away.
Yeah. Well, what my point is if you don't have the integrity to stand up and speak to your votes, you shouldn't be a rep. Honestly, if you have a vote that... You shouldn't be voting for things that you can't explain or explain to your constituents why. She had not one, I think maybe one person supporting her on her page. Everybody else was...
As a good example of that, I posted the HRA scores came out for the midterm, for the rest of this session so far, and I posted everybody under 70% that was Republican or Democrat. Obviously, not all the Democrats, just all the Republicans, of which 2 were Democrats captured in that screen capture. And there was a lot of them. There's a lot of Republicans that are under 70%, and there's more than 10 or 12 that are under 50. So, that's our Rhino report. We're gonna, Rick's gonna take that. Rick's gonna take that, and he knows what to do with it.
Yeah, we absolutely need to do that.
But to her point, one of the guys on the list who was 60.9.7% or something, and he's a libertarian. Probably because he's got good NHLA scores, which means that there's a couple of issues in the Republican platform that as a libertarian he would support anyway. And he actually came out and he said to me on Facebook, he says you can primary me if you want, but I look at the Constitution and I vote, and he stood up for his votes.
Yep.
And that's good. So now I told him, I said, I will go look at your votes and I will see where we disagree. And that's what you do. This guy came up as under 70% according to the HRA, but he stood up for what he votes for, and he says, I look at the Constitution. That's the way I vote. Now, I can go look at his votes, and I can go look at the Constitution, and I can go, yeah, you did. And then I can decide for myself where we disagree. And then we can have a conversation about that. And the Democrat runs away.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, since I've given up my headset, just
It's
one
actually,
quick
it's actually
observation.
watching his skin move while he's like, I gotta say something.
The bottom part of that score that you put up, where they're voting 30%, 35%, you look at them and go, these are great Democrats. They're voting 60, almost 70% with the Democrats. I just wanted to remind people, because of what Scott Brown, who was running for U.S. Senate in the Republican primary, said himself, I vote independent. I vote 50-50. No, when the Hill decided to go after and look at your votes, you did 22% the first year, you did 46% the second year, and then you voted with the Democrats 62% of the time. So if Republicans here in the state of New Hampshire want to know where he sits, look at those HRA scores that Steve posted up. Go to the bottom of the list, and if he had been a New Hampshire state rep, that's where he would have been.
Here's the
by
list.
his own actions.
Here are the Republicans who are under 50%.
Yes.
Charles Takazian,
Oh, that's not a shocker.
David Kidder,
Oh, there's a shocker.
Robert Elliott.
He's an old veteran of the Rhino Report. He's been up there twice.
All
David
these names
Kidder.
are very familiar. James Grenier,
Yep.
Carol Crawford, Abu Khan. Abu Khan.
What?
Yeah, he's from like Rochester,
Okay.
Portsmouth area.
Ronald Belanger, Priscilla Lockwood, Timothy Copeland, and Carolyn Gargas, who are always.
They're veterans of the Rhino Report.
And here we go. These last three, okay, last four: Belanger, Lockwood, Copeland, Gargas, voted with their own party 40%, 39%, 39%, and 39.1%. Okay, that means they're 70% Democrats, which means on the Democrat side, if you are an 80, 20, 70, 30 person, they're a good Democrat for you.
These are the kind of people that I caught a year or two ago at in a town Republican meeting discussing how to get away with raising the gas tax, not whether it was a bad idea.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, we have this global warming thing. Let's raise the taxes and we'll pay for, I don't know, whatever.
Did they run as Republicans in a district just
Yes.
to win?
They've been running for years. Gargaz and Lockwood and those folks, they get elected every single session. I mean, I don't think they've been properly primaried out. I mean, we've got rid of a lot in Amherst and Bedford and a few other towns where some people snuck in, and they've been primaried out. A couple of them tried to run as independents, and they got nothing. But, that's what we need to do. We need a solid libertarian conservative candidate who can articulate the very simple facts. This is a state versus local argument. My job is to go to Concord to protect you from the federal government if I can, and to protect you from the spenders in Concord if I can, so that you keep your money and your power as local as possible, because that allows you to decide that if you want to have some left-wing moonbat progressive town, you can have one. It's your town. You vote that way. You convince the people in your town to make that argument. Don't run to Concord and sneak around and pretend to be a Republican while you're taking their money and sending it to Concord where you will never get any use out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And those people need to be primaried out. It's a local control argument. Anybody can make it.
Londonderry is a classic example. You have a candidate over there. When you call her on her voting record, she shuts you down. She excludes you from her Facebook page. And Representative Lisa Whittemore.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to talk about a Kool-Aid slurper right there? I'm telling you, wow, she is as left as the day is. You think she came right out of the boroughs of New York City? This left she is.
John Burt was telling me Dennis Fields is another one. He's
Yes.
59.8.
I always see his name voting with
Is she a
Democrats.
straight Rousseauian French commie?
I don't know, but I know.
I saw her, she was trying to justify increasing the gas tax.
Yes.
And she got slammed for it, and then she started blocking people.
Yeah, it started shutting
You
everybody
know what?
out.
I'm really not interested in a debate.
Her argument was stupid, and it was wrong, so,
We're going
It's
to
like-
come... go ahead, sorry.
Same with the guns, I mean, they can always, you can always count on them for a stupid argument.
Well, one of your posts that you boosted it had finally attracted some outside moonbat nut job. Oh, no, you got to vote. Congress has to vote for background checks and blah blah blah. Like, why can't your state do that? Why does Congress have to do it? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take 60 seconds ish, and we will be right. Hold that thought back.
That's worth a brief discussion.
They reported me yesterday. Somebody on Moms Demand Action reported all of my pictures that had to do with guns or anything. My profile picture, me and Susan, we had one of the rallies.
Reported you to what?
Facebook for graphic violence. My pictures of me on the range, pictures of me and
Graphic
Susan
violence.
with graphic Day of Resistance. All it said, there was not even a gun in the picture. It says Day of Resistance. They reported it as graphic violence. And I had one post. I don't know how they could see my post, but I had another post that said Obamacare. The Obamacare site goes down as often as a $2 hooker, and they reported that as nudity and pornography.
See, Skip wouldn't allow that on the site because he's too strict.
Yeah, that'd be borderline. I have rule number 1. Adult themes, kid friendly. I don't want Johnny and Jamie running to mommy and say, "What does that mean?"
What's
Other
a
than that,
$2 hooker?
Rule number 2.
It's a $2.
Rule number 2 is you can write about anything else that you want.
Right.
So, anytime you want to write, if you want to come write for
I'm back.
Rock,
Hey, we were talking about this whole Roush thing earlier and how he's going to get primaried, and then of course Bob O'Dell. And I forgot to play this that I did. I did this I didn't have time to do this for Mike last week, but I had time to do it this morning.
Love it.
I very quickly edited it so that we would have it, because hopefully we'll be playing it a lot. It's not very
Yes,
long. It's like
indeedy.
8 more seconds. So, welcome back to GrokTALK. And do you still have your thought, sir? Or has it? Have I derailed it?
No, I actually have a couple of thoughts. So,
I'm sure you have more than a few.
yeah.
That's why you're here.
Right. So we were talking about SB 120 and the Incumbent Protection Act
We did hint at it.
of New Hampshire, but Limbaugh. These idiots. They're not to be trusted with free speech, and I've been trying to stop them since 2002. Sorry, they're a real bad imitation of Senator McNasty himself.
Which one?
McCain,
Oh.
who, of course, together with a Democrat, conspired.
It's got to be more nasally, more like, Burgess Meredith, the Penguin in Batman in the 60s. that's what
John McCain. Okay, we would like you to donate for the John McCain impression lessons.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
So,
But you get
your point.
My point is that he, along with Russ Feingold, conspired to restrict our freedom of speech by putting all sorts of difficult and tricky limits on how you can spend money to publish advertisements, print pamphlets, and generally get your point of view out, pro or anti, even just pro or anti a point. And they keep trying to tighten those restrictions, and the people keep fighting back. And even with a bunch of freshly minted liberals on the Supreme Court, we seem to be doing okay, because first Citizens United got struck down, and now this year a further block in the wall of restrictions on free speech got chipped out, and basically took away some of the money limits. And that's how it should be. How the heck do you think the founders promoted the revolution? How do you think Thomas Paine got his ideas out? You think common sense just printed itself? Somebody spent money or donated time.
There is another work session coming up Thursday, April 24th, on SB 120, which is the umbrella of the latest attack on free speech. And I'm going to be writing about it every day, beginning Monday again, because we need to talk about this. I hope you are. It's an issue that we really need to make them pay for.
Well, they can't do it for certain organizations because the federal law permits certain things for 501c3s and 4s. But so it's going to be just regular if you want to have an nonprofit organization. If you're one person, they're going to shut you down, or they're going to make you show who's giving you money. Like, okay, so these guys don't have to do it, but my little mom and pop organization trying to fight legislation or whatever is going to have to show all my donors. Yeah, that worked out really well for the CEO of Mozilla and other people. We've already seen what the left does to these people.
Well, I've said it again and again and again, is the, well, I'm going to call it a speech cartel now, because what they're basically doing is institutionalizing political speech within a small cabal of experts, political parties, PACs that already exist, lobbyists and lawyers who
Yep.
are all tied to those PACs and run the entire lobbying universe, and any of the 501c3s and 4s that are already embedded in the system. The left has tons of them. And all this really does, and they have the money and the resources that they can actually cheat the system and afford the fines. So
Yeah.
they really have a significant advantage over people who are now going to say, I as a business owner want to remark on this bill or on this candidate with regard to how they are spending the money that they take from me in taxes. And so this person now is limited in their ability to do that. They have to jump through hoops.
Yep.
They have to make sure that they are following specific rules to engage in political speech. Now, I wrote this and I haven't posted yet, but think about this. These people are taking our money and they are spending it to enact legislation which will be enforced with our money, which will then prohibit us from using our money to keep them from spending our money.
That makes my head spin.
Yes,
And
yeah.
that is exactly what this is.
But he actually constructed that to make your head spin. But it's exactly the point.
Yeah.
You know, and why the heck should we pay any attention to this at all? The law is unconstitutional on its face by New Hampshire Constitution and the federal Constitution, and I think we should just ignore it and keep on writing about them, and if where possible, even advertise against them, and let's see if we can get them to blow up in our
Well, at
faces.
this point, the last hearing had people at it that spoke out in objection. Enough people that they didn't have enough voices supporting it that they felt comfortable moving forward, so they had to schedule another hearing. So to those of you within my voice, in my earshot, or whatever, you guys need to plan or make arrangements with people. There's a Facebook page on this, okay, on SB 120, run by Michelle Lavelle, I think. And you need to go find it so that you know who's going to be there, if you can be there, who's going to speak, if you can speak. We need more people. What time? I'm trying to avoid the scenes. Thursday, April 24th,
Jeez.
1 p.m. to 2:30. Yeah,
Shrapnel?
thank you. I have a DNA sample.
Oh, that far away, too, you know.
Pretty good.
I told you I was a sniper.
I thought
I wasn't kidding.
you must have really good aim.
That
I'm
would,
wounded.
that would have been a mortal shot. If it was that.
A little bit more to the left than I had it in my glasses. Squirrels. No, Skip did this last week too. He's such a jolly fellow. Anyway,
You know what the funny part about it is I was working so hard to keep it in.
Thursday.
That doesn't work well.
I may have to de-amplify that on the feed. Thursday, April 24th, from 1 to 2:30, there is the next session on this issue, and I don't have the LOB room number, but we'll find it and post it.
Yeah, they usually don't post it till the last 5 minutes. You know? They're good like that.
It's like a moving crap game. You gotta, yeah.
You need the secret password.
Walt sent me. Okay. And you guys need to get down there, and you need to, we've written a lot about it. I'm sure Kimberly's written a lot about it. Educate yourself about this. I've written so much about free speech and how these are all violations, and really the only people they protect are incumbents. The only people they really protect, like the People's Pledge. All that does is funnel money into political campaigns directly so that they control the message. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't prevent third-party intervention. When we talked about it last week, when Warren and Brown did it last year, most expensive campaign ever for a Senate seat anywhere in any state. You're telling me that all that money just came from local? No, it's all outside money funneled through the campaign. So now the campaign controls the message. That you absolutely do not want that under any circumstance.
No, and it's national money, and they're bought and paid for, and they don't represent their states. And, let us go back to the arguments for the 17th Amendment, which said that those smoke-filled back rooms in those state capitals were corrupt and couldn't produce worthy senators to represent the states, and that this was going to be so much better and cleaner.
Yeah, they're all in D.C. now.
Yeah, just like Just like everything else that progressives propose, it's always more corrupt and less workable than the alternative that preceded it.
Okay, what else we got? We got a couple minutes left.
Sorry, Kim.
You got anything else working? You got any
Get
stories you're
going.
working on? Anything we should be looking forward to? You can tell people where they can find you, how they can reach you, where they can see you.
Don't come see me.
Don't come see you.
No.
I mean, well,
I'm joking. I'm
Gerard at
joking.
Large,
I'll be at
Speak Up,
I'm
and-
political buzz segment every Monday morning at 8:20 on Gerard at Large, where I'm usually talking about legislation that's going on for that week, so people know what's going on. It'll be SB 120 this week.
Mhm.
And then I do a weekly segment with Kevin Avard, which is National Access TV. Again, same thing, talking about legislation. Actually, next time I've already decided I'm going to talk about the national legislators. And my little friend Rep Vale, my little buddy.
Maxed out and freedom.
Yeah. So
I've got a freedom hangover.
I'm going to start doing that, reporting the legislation and how people are voting. And I don't care what party they're from. You know, I already do anyway, but I want people need to know. That's my big thing. People don't know what's going on. They don't have no idea what the legislature is doing. They have no idea what the legislation is. And it's easy it's only usually a couple pages, sometimes one sentence. But that one sentence can take all kinds of freedoms away. So that's my goal, is to just keep informing people, and, you know, so they start waking up maybe and pay attention and say, oh, wait, I don't like that. And, you know, they'll call their reps, they'll call their senators, and they'll say, no, don't do that. You know, like the Second Amendment activists do, we do that with gun votes. You can get people easily riled up for that. But other stuff, people just don't seem to pay attention to. You know, the Second Amendment stuff, yes, that's really important.
And it's, you know, we're inside the sausage factory, so everybody we talk to is aware, for the most part,
Right,
of
that's-
these things. And
yeah.
then there's, you know, they're aware of the issues that are important to them, and then we have the ability to put other issues in front of them that then they go, oh, I gotta look at that.
Right.
And that's really, the emphasis is on trying to expand that base, because the majority of voters don't follow what we do, and they aren't inside the sausage factory, and they don't view the political world or the real world through the lens that we are forced, or have forced ourselves to look through. And so to have Political Examiner, to have, you know, Examiner.com, to have Granite Rock, to have the Londonderry Fish and Game Club, and all the stuff that you guys do, and the activism and the information and the sharing, and I mean, you used to reach these people, and then you expand their range of issues so that they begin to look outside their little.
Well,
November is coming.
oh my
That's
God,
awesome.
I want one of those.
Talk to Greg Moore. That's an old AFP shirt.
Well, that's the thing, and it's, if you just inform one person who didn't know something before, they tell someone else. It has a domino effect. They tell someone else, and they tell someone else. And, you know, people will ask me, why do I argue with idiots? I argue with idiots not because I'm going to change the idiot's mind, but somebody else might see and say, oh, wait a minute, she's right. And I've had that happen. I've had someone say to me, oh, wow, thank you, I didn't know that. You know, who was an independent, but they saw me arguing with a leftist.
Yeah, that's
And-
really hard, because I've gotten to that I shall not suffer fools stage, so I don't bother anymore.
I like it. It's kind of fun. It's like a hobby.
I don't spend a lot of time with that, but I mean,
But when I do,
when I do, they run away. Eventually.
One of my debating partners is a Scandinavian socialist. He's quite fun. I'll have to get him on by phone sometime.
All right, we're coming
I
up.
can tell you about Scandinavian
All right,
socialists.
all right. Kimberly Moore, thank you. We'll be
Thanks,
right back
guys.
with Bob Smith. This is GrokTALK. We're out.
Hey, did you guys see my post last week? My thesis was that all you got to do is poke the bear a little bit when it comes to rhinos,
I saw it.
and they have pat stock responses they give you. Yeah, that's, you know, it's amazing. Despite the fact that I wrote that, it never changes. It's always the
To meet
same.
my buddy JP.
You know,
oh, tell them good going.
a vote for
I already
anybody
booked him
but
in
Scott
May.
Brown is a
Good.
vote for Gene Shaheen. You know, it's the same.
I hate
You gotta
Scott
call
Brown.
Mr. Smith.
You guys, he followed me here. I freaking left Massachusetts because we're not on there, right?
No.
I left
We're on that
Massachusetts.
camera though.
Oh,
Yeah.
but nobody can hear me, right?
You have a minute and a half to call Bob Smith.
You're on live stream.
Okay, so I won't say. I was gonna say a bad word.
Well, you can say that, whatever.
Yeah, we're not subject to the FCC.
You can modify the word a little if you choose.
Well, I was gonna say I left Massachusetts because of a-hole politicians like him.
Yeah.
And I came here and I found more of them. And then he came too, and I'm like, I will kill you guys if you send any more here.
They just keep moving in droves, you know.
60 seconds.
You know,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was fun, guys.
yeah.
Usually I have to dress, I dress.
Yeah, work, Cass.
I know, yeah.
Come back
Alright, we're
and
gonna-
see us again.
It's our Saturday best.
No, that was fun.
I'm the only
Thank you,
one in
Kimberly.
uniform.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Behave yourselves.
Take care.
No,
No.
we're not gonna.
Never.
GrokTV.